And we're back in front of the bookcase. I do have someone I want to meet though. Look at that. This is Coconut. She is a rescue. Coconut, do you want to tell everyone about intuitive eating and in the holidays? Yes. Hey there, I'm Talia, founder of Workweek, and today I want to talk about how to navigate intuitive eating during the holidays. Let's get to it. So if you're new to my channel, hi, I am a meal prep expert, and while I'm not an intuitive eating expert, I wouldn't go as far to say that. I've read all the books, I've listened to all the podcasts, and I have a really strong understanding about intuitive eating, and I love talking about it with this audience. You know, Workweek Lunch is the only meal prep and meal planning resource out there that fully aligns with intuitive eating and health at every size. We do not help people lose weight, we help people gain more time and money to live the life they want through meal planning and meal prep. This topic comes up every year. You know, the holidays are a stressful time in general, and then on top of that, the food can stress us out too. This topic is important to me because I really believe there's a way to navigate food during the holidays where you don't feel like you're losing your mind. You know, I believe that there's a way to navigate decisions that make you feel good and empowered, and you're not making decisions out of fear and scarcity and all that stuff. So I'd love to get into it. If you are new to intuitive eating and you've never heard of it before, I recommend watching our video on the principles of intuitive eating, which I can link down below, and I can put somewhere here a link to that. So check that out first. Intuitive eating was developed by two dietitians in the 90s. There are many studies behind it, and basically the Cliff Notes explanation of it is it's an approach to eating that helps us heal from dieting and basically heal our relationship with food. It separates health from weight loss. So it's about nourishing your body and making decisions from internal cues, not really focusing on whether or not your food decisions are helping you change the way you look or your weight. It's not eating whatever you want whenever you want, because it's not even realistic or practical. And it's not restricting to be as healthy as possible. It's somewhere in between. And what I love about it is that it's really sustainable. So go check that out. I recommend diving deeper into it if you are new to intuitive eating. And if you're here to watch this video, thank you for watching. Buckle up, I have a lot to talk about, and we're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna go through a bunch of different topics around intuitive eating and the holidays. I recommend looking in the description to, we have like a little description of the time codes. You can jump around in this video to what you are most stressed out about. I'm kind of gonna go through each problem that comes up, like the most common problems. So that's how this video is gonna work. Not every bite of food that you eat has to be physically nourishing. You can also nourish your soul. And that's what I'm hoping to help you do through this holiday season with this video. The sub goal of this video is to help you ease out of that restricting and binging cycle that you might be in, which tends to become exaggerated during the holiday season because we know there's a lot of fun foods around, even though technically we can eat green bean casserole at any time of the year, right? There's really no reason we have to eat it around Thanksgiving and stuff. And the reason why that's important is the binge and restrict cycle can cause weight cycling, right? Like if we keep gaining and losing the same amount of weight constantly, that can actually cause more health problems than just eating, just doing, practicing intuitive eating, which is just kind of going along with your cues. So that's kind of what I want you to think about during this video, in addition to making peace with food during the holiday season so that you can get more out of it. So both these things are pretty important. The holiday season comes up every single year. You don't have to go through this every year where you're like, you feel guilty on what you're eating, and then you feel like you have to counterbalance it with exercise or like restricting after the holiday season. Why not make peace with food now, so for the rest of your life you can just get through the holidays, eat what you like, and move on. In the big picture, you're not gonna remember the year that you somehow stayed within a calorie limit during the holidays. It just doesn't matter in the big picture. We're gonna call these holiday eating struggles. So, holiday eating struggle number 1, being scared of overeating. Can you relate to this one? Let me know in the comments. So here's the problem. There's gonna be a lot of food, there's gonna be events around food during the holidays. No matter what you're celebrating, there's probably some tradition that revolves around food. For me, I'm Jewish, so I celebrate Hanukkah, and my family celebrates Thanksgiving. and it's very much about the food and not much else. Other than that, it just happens to be, when we all come together. So the common fear is eating past a certain point, eating past the point where you're comfortably full. When it comes to intuitive eating, you kind of have to get rid of the idea of overeating. It's like over what eating? Who decides what is the right amount to eat and then what is over that amount? Really, it's different for everyone, and it's gonna be different for you and me. I would say eating past the point of fullness is kind of what we fear. And when you think about it in the big picture, if you eat 3 meals a day, right, that's gonna be about 1,095 meals a year. A couple holiday meals in the big picture, it just doesn't really move the needle. It's not really a big deal if you eat past fullness. And something that I remind myself constantly is that my body will figure it out. That's a mantra I repeat to myself whenever I feel bloated or uncomfortably full, or if I ate like kind of, there are certain foods that definitely, don't make me feel very good. And I always just remind myself, my body will figure it out. You've been through it before. You have been uncomfortably full before and you've lived to tell the tale. It's gonna be okay. Feeling uncomfortably full isn't the worst feeling in the world, and it passes. And you don't have to do anything to counterbalance it. If you eat past the point of fullness, all you have to do is eat normally the next day. No matter what you eat today, you still need to eat tomorrow. I understand that feeling of being really super full isn't fun, but you got this. You can handle it. You've handled worse probably in your life. So the intuitive eating principle that kind of goes along with this holiday eating struggle is challenge the food police. Again, what is overeating? And who cares if it happens? What is really the worst thing about overeating in your mind? Challenge that thought. And maybe the news story becomes, I'm gonna eat past the point of fullness sometimes and it's gonna be okay. That should be the news story, not, oh no, I overate and I'm a failure. Plus, by the time the holidays come around, it's very possible that you might know what full feels like and you might decide that you're good or not. Eating past fullness when you're an intuitive eater can be a choice. Be like, you know what, I'm enjoying this meal so much that I'm gonna have seconds even though I know I'm full, and that's okay. It's actually very freeing. All right, on to the next one. Holiday eating struggle number 2 is feeling out of control around food. Let me know in the comments if this is you, if you're here for this one. I know the feeling all too well, and it is not fun. So where does feeling out of control around food even come from? Well, it comes from restriction. If you say in your mind, I can't eat X, or I can't eat X after 6 p.m., or X food is bad, that's a form of restriction. And the more you restrict something, the more you're going to want it. That's just how it works. It's just a psychological thing. For me, I've had this experience with M&Ms. I used to restrict M&Ms and I would not allow myself to buy them for the house. And then of course, every time I went to the store, I'd stand in front of the candy aisle looking at the M&Ms longingly. And it was a huge problem. It was just my mind was super preoccupied. And whenever I had a chance to eat M&Ms, which was usually at the movies, I would feel out of control, like I had to eat all of them. So that's the restriction mentality. That's what happens to us when we're restricting mentally. It just we become super preoccupied with the food we're restricting, and then we feel out of control when it's in front of us. Let's not have that happen this holiday season, shall we? How do we solve this? Well, when you have full permission to eat all foods, this feeling starts to go away, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that, again, I'm making this video a little early for the holiday season so you can start practicing this now, weeks before the holidays actually hit. You have to give yourself permission to eat all foods at any time in any quantities. I know it's terrifying at first to think about, just thinking about eating a whole sheet of brownies or a whole bag of, a huge bag of tortilla chips. But again, what's the worst that can happen? Really, what's the worst? Like, what, you really believe that you will never stop eating tortilla chips and then it's just like endless? No, you eventually will hit a point where you're just like, I'm done with these tortilla chips. So full permission to eat all foods has, like, part of it is a physical thing you have to do, like eating the food you're restricting. That's an act of giving yourself permission, just going for it. There's also the mental part of telling yourself, I'm allowed to eat this food anytime I want it. Then the question becomes, do you want it? And not, do I deserve it? Did I earn this food? Does this fit in my calories? It's just simply, do I want tortilla chips right now? Yes or no? Sometimes it's gonna be no. But first you have to go through eating it, eating whatever you're restricting. So start practicing this now. And when you get to the holidays, you will feel a little bit more in control and you'll be able to ask yourself, do I want this food? Am I in the mood to eat this right now? Or can I just eat it tomorrow? Because again, with permission to eat all foods anytime, you can eat that food tomorrow or the next day. And you can make your favorite Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday food any time of the year. And you can eat those. You don't have to just wait for the holidays to eat them. Of course, understandably, it's more fun to eat those foods with family and friends and your loved ones during those times. But again, full permission to eat all foods means anytime too, and not just the holidays. And the intuitive eating principle to look deeper into for this one would be making peace with food. So you can go back to our video and learn more about that intuitive eating principle. I'll also put the text here of what that is. Look at this principle, think about it, mull it over, and it'll help you feel more in control around food and coming from a place of, do I want this food versus, oh my God, I have to eat this food because it's in front of me and this is the only time I have it. It's much better. Holiday food struggle number 3 would be how to find balance during the holidays. So yes, during this time of the year, there may be more meals and more opportunities to eat fun foods that may not necessarily be the most health promoting, but they have other qualities like bringing us together, sparking memories and creating memories with other people, tradition and culture and all that stuff. Again, food isn't just fuel. But of course, we do want to feel good during the holidays. We want to feel physically well, and that's important. With intuitive eating, nutrition isn't completely off the table. The last principle is about gentle nutrition, so that would be the principle to look deeper into for this one. So just remember back to what I said before. Throughout the year, like when we look at how many holiday meals are there, actually there just aren't that many. There are plenty of opportunities to nourish yourself in between holiday events, parties, meals, all that stuff. And so this is a time when you can still really lean on meal planning and meal prepping if that's a method that helps you. I know it helps me a lot, but you can think ahead, look at your schedule, look at what's coming up. Where can you help future you get in more fiber or more veggies or whatever you're looking to do, more protein? For me, it's always fiber. So again, meal prepping, meal planning can help a lot with that. It takes the decision making out of it, which is what I love. You don't have to be in the moment and decide, do I eat peanut butters and crackers or do I make a meal? No, it's already just done for you. So I think meal prep can play a huge part in finding balance during the holidays. Stock your freezer with meals for those times when you know you're going to be kind of tired or too stressed to cook or meal plan. All you have to do is take something home cooked out of the freezer and you're good to go. There are ways to use up holiday leftovers in your other meals. Like throughout the week, you can incorporate holiday leftovers into more health promoting meals. It doesn't just have to be all or nothing, like holiday food during the meals and then boring salads outside of that. You can kind of mix them all together. With intuitive eating, if someone asks me when is it restriction and when is it making a choice because you want to feel good? Again, it's all about your intention. Restriction is you want something and you're telling yourself you can't have it. Making a decision from a place of wanting to feel good is I know this food won't make me feel very good and I want to eat something that will make me feel good. That's not restriction. That is a choice that you're making in that moment because you can have that food anytime, right? So it's not restriction, it's just a different choice coming from a place of, again, honoring your health, which is also part of intuitive eating. For example, for me, it's with drinking. I know for me, I can't drink 3 nights in a row. I absolutely need to take breaks. So because I care about how I feel, the next day I will opt to not drink once in a while during the holidays because I know it'll make me feel bad. If you want some more meal prepping ideas for the holidays, we have them linked below. Check those out because I know there's a way to balance feeling good and enjoying yourself during the holidays. Holiday food struggle number 4 would be dealing with comments from other people. This is a big one. Oh my God, have you ever had someone comment on what you're eating, if your body has changed, or maybe someone has asked you why you're not eating more? comments from other friends and family members during the holidays is so hard to navigate. And I really, again, I'm sending you compassion if you ever dealt with this, because it can be awkward, it can be uncomfortable, and I feel you, man. I would say the best way to deal with this is to really honestly practice what you're gonna say. So there are a couple of types of comments that you're gonna get, you might get during the holidays. I think a really common one is like, why aren't you eating more? Is that all you're eating? Are you sure you don't want more? Like, the pressure to eat more is something we definitely get from adults, people who make the food also during the holidays. And it can be hard because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You don't want to turn down food that they spend hours making and it really means a lot to them. Well, I would say, let's not be people pleasers now. You can let someone know you really enjoyed their food, but you're just feeling really full, or you want to save room for dessert, or that you're good. And you know what? If it's okay if that person is feeling let down. They're an adult. They can handle it. You don't need to eat more just because someone is making you. That's just not acceptable. You can absolutely just be like, I'm okay for now. I'm good. Thank you. This was so delicious. I really appreciate the work you put into it, but I'm feeling really full and I just can't eat anymore. People have to understand, like, the way they feel in their body is gonna be different than how you feel in your body at that moment. They don't maybe know how full you feel, So it's okay. That's gonna come up and you can handle it. They can handle it if you say no. You do not have to be a people pleaser. You don't have to eat more. Eat how much you wanna eat and politely turn down food when it's forced upon you. The other option, of course, is always offering to take food home for the next day, even if you're just going to compost it, which definitely I do sometimes if I'm feeling like there's a ton of pressure. Again, I'm just gonna say, I do that. Sometimes I don't really like it, especially being a chef myself. I don't always like other people's cooking, and I'm not gonna force myself to eat it if they give me a doggy bag to take home. Another comment that you might hear at the table is comments about other people's bodies, whether it's your body or someone else's body at the table, which can be very triggering, awkward, uncomfortable. It's not fun. And I would say this one's a little harder to deal with because it really depends on your relationship with that person and the trust and all the other stuff and how comfortable you feel with them. Because if someone comments on your body, or if you hear someone else commenting on another person's body, you can call them out and you can be like, hey, you know what? I'm working on my relationship with food and my body right now, and I don't really appreciate comments like that. That's a lot to say if you don't really have a relationship with that person, like if it's a stranger, or if you don't really feel like getting into it. What I like to do is simply change the subject. You can just be like, yeah, oh, what's going on at work with you? Or like, just something, just ask a question, just change the subject. That's my go-to way of handling any comments about my body or hearing comments about someone else's body. Because look, these comments, the problem with these comments, whether they're aimed at you or other people, is that you never really know what's going on in someone's life. Like, that person could be struggling with an eating disorder. That person also could be struggling with a health issue, and you look so skinny, you've lost weight, isn't always a compliment. There have been people in my life who've been really sick and they lost weight, and then people are complimenting them on their weight loss when in reality they're very sick. And it's sad, and it shouldn't be a thing. You can lead by example by just changing the subject, shutting it down, not going along with that, not playing that game, all that stuff. So even if it's your friend, sometimes you're in a friend group and one person has lost a bunch of weight and everyone else is commenting on it. You want to validate their emotions, but you also don't want to play into it. You can just smile and be like, yeah, and then change the subject. It can be tricky. Do what feels best, but you also just don't have to be a people pleaser this year. You can set your own boundaries. What's another comment? So we covered food, body changes. If anyone else comments about what's on your plate, you simply could just be like, hey, why don't you just focus on what's on your plate and I'll focus on what's on mine. Something along those lines. And yes, you can practice. Write these comments, write your responses down in your phone first. Think about what the kind of thing you want to say, depending on, again, who it is, the situation, and how comfortable you feel. These comments can turn into great eye-opening conversations in the right company. I wouldn't dive into a discussion about fat bias and weight stigma and intuitive eating with just any group of friends or family. So pick and choose, tread lightly. You don't want to turn it into a whole debate necessarily, or maybe you do, maybe that's like fun for you. For me, not so much. So I would say feel it out, do what's comfortable, set boundaries, and you do not have to engage. Holiday food struggle number 5 would be not knowing when to stop when you're full. So let's just say you're at the meal, you're eating, and you want to be able to stop when you're full, but you just don't know how. Here's what I recommend. Try practicing mindful eating before the holidays so you can get more in tune with your hunger and fullness cues. What do I mean by this? I mean eating a meal once in a while. Do not do this for every meal. Once in a while, where you have no distractions and you're not eating with anyone, no TV, no podcast, no phone, just you and your food. What this does, it helps you pay attention to the textures and flavors and your own internal cues for hunger and fullness. When we're eating with distractions, it can be really hard to tune into ourselves. But again, try doing this like every other day, one meal, for those days. Again, you don't want to do this every meal. It's kind of sad, if you do it every meal. Try once in a while just to see what comes up. What are you noticing? I used to practice this in the early days of my intuitive eating journey, and I learned so much about what I actually like, what I don't like, and what full feels like for me. And it can be really helpful. So practice this before the holidays so that when you get to those meals, you'll have a stronger sense of where that line is for you, because again, it's different for everyone. It's also different on every day, right? Because we're not robots. The intuitive eating principle that this would go with, that you should look more into, is feeling your fullness. So here's what that means. Again, you can go to our video, you can learn more about what feeling your fullness is. Also, coconut is making a lot of noise right now. Okay, on to the next one. Holiday food struggle number 6 is stress eating. So raise your hand if the holidays are stressful for you. I mean, between gift giving and parties and end of the year and like wrapping things up and vacations and time off, I mean, it's just a lot going on. Everyone's really busy and it's a stressful time regardless of where you are in your relationship with food. So stress eating is a big thing and I want to get into it. Stress eating is when you are basically relying on food to cope with stress. And let me tell you right now, that's normal. That is okay. It is absolutely okay to rely on food during stressful and emotional times. If you are trying to avoid food when you're stressed out, you're gonna start stressing over stress eating, which will make you more stressed out. We don't want that. Lean onto it, lean into it, it's fine. Just know that you can use food as a way to feel better in the moment, but you should also be adding other ways to manage stress, right? Don't just rely on food. Don't worry about the stress eating, but add other ways to manage stress. That could be movement, it could be talking with people, reading, writing, journaling, drawing something creative, cooking. Again, it's food and ... fill in the blank. Let me know in the comments what that is for you. I know for me, I love walking. Exercise, like climbing at the climbing gym, is super helpful for me for managing stress. I love baking. I also just love vegging out and watching TV. Food will never be able to solve the problem, but again, it's totally okay in the moment to make yourself feel better and have some comfort with food. It is very grounding and it's very human. Don't fight it. Holiday food struggle number 7. This is the last one. That is finding balance after the holidays. We all know what's coming in January. It is get back on track season. It is start a new diet season, and you don't have to do that this year. Nope, you can opt out. We are not doing that this year, because if you did it last year, you know how that ended up. I know I've done it many times and it never sticks. It's like completely pointless. Let's just skip it this year and let's try something else. So this is January, right? We've gone through all the holidays and New Year's and everything, and you might not feel as great as normal after all of that. I certainly don't. Your natural response might be, okay, time to restrict, time to get back on my workout routine, time to start a new life, I'm gonna be a new person. No. Because again, restriction only leads to more binging. If you try to restrict after the holidays, you're gonna just binge again. It's just a cycle that never ends. Let's break the cycle. And also let's wait for this truck to pass by my apartment. So January is a great time to unfollow accounts that make you feel subconscious about your body and where you're eating. So any fitness accounts that's gonna start talking about this, like unfollow those accounts. Just take it away from your daily social media, consumption. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, eat normally. Whatever normal looks like for you, you do not need to counterbalance holiday eating or restrict after the holidays. Eat normally, eat foods you like, eat at restaurants, cook meals at home, eat snacks that you like, just eat normally, because again, what you want to aim for is sustainable eating. Restriction isn't sustainable. If it was sustainable, we wouldn't be like constantly just, surrounded by new diets and new ways to restrict. It's not sustainable. The intuitive eating principle to dive deeper into for this struggle would be rejecting the diet mentality. That's what that means. I'll put it right there. Rejecting the diet mentality is also the number one principle of intuitive eating for a reason. I recommend, again, this is the one to really learn and think about for yourself, dig into it. It is super helpful to kind of unravel the diety thoughts you may have or the rules you may have. When I went through this process, I learned so much about the rules that I had picked up over the years that I ultimately let go. One of those rules was to constantly just start new diets every January. No, thank you. You don't have to do it. Have a normal January, eat normally, and then you won't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. There won't be any feelings of guilt or shame. You won't feel like a failure. You're just going to eat normally. At the end of the day, with all this holiday stuff, no matter what you're struggling with, have compassion for yourself. You are human. You will do intuitive eating imperfectly. You will make mistakes in your intuitive eating journey, and that's okay. That's expected, and you're fine. We cannot expect perfection in this. We can just do our best. And even when you're not doing your best, it's fine. Have compassion for yourself, enjoy the holidays, think about what you want to get out of this holiday season, think about the memories you want to create, think about who you want to spend your time with and share those moments with. And that should be the focus, taking that focus away from the fear around food. Food can be part of all of it, right? But let's leave the fear in the past this year. So I hope this video helped you. If it did, please leave a comment below. I love doing these intuitive eating videos. I love helping you in your journey. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want more, you should hit subscribe, throw me a like, and I will see you next time. Bye. Like and subscribe.